Okay, Mr. Leston Motsepe, we are live.
Mr. Slava, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, healthy and well. We're living long and strong.
No, we're just trying to get better than our yesterdays. What can we say? Yes. Always seeking to become better than our yesterdays. So, no, I'm good on my side as well.
Good, man. I'm glad. Good to see you. I'm seeing you a lot lately, eh?
Yeah, no, I used to see you a lot in my earlier years in life. And then I think we started basically pursuing our own professional careers and our own adult lives. And now we're meeting a lot of each other. I mean, I saw you this past weekend where I ran into you. So it looks like I'll be running into you quite a lot in the next couple of months. Yeah, so.
Good, man. So ladies and gentlemen, today we have Mr. Leston Motsepe. Now, I think let's wait for few people to log on first. So guys, this is where we have conversations with entrepreneurs that inspire and experts to admire. So we're on weekly, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Do me a favor right now, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we've got other videos with experts, entrepreneurs, businessmen. We've got soccer stars, we've got doctors on there. So go watch the other videos as well. Okay, I see we got quite a few people on, Leston. Let me see if we're live on Facebook. I figured out how to go live on Facebook and on YouTube, but I haven't done it yet. So with the next one, we'll be live on Facebook and live on YouTube. We've got soccer stars. My thing there. Okay, good stuff. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to me, Craig. Guys, if you have questions for Leston, pop it in the comment section. We'll ask him a few questions before the end. And so welcome. So I think we can go. So guys, we got Leston Motsepe, communication and brand strategist with over 13 years experience in government marketing, brand development, and media. He was one of the top 200 young Africans in government and politics with the Mail and Guardian. He was selected out of 250 SADC members in the top 25, right, for the public leadership courses in politics. So that's what we're gonna ask. So we got an expert here, guys, and he's gonna give us a lot of value. So stick around, ask questions, tune in, share, like. So welcome, Leston. He's got a diploma in media design technology. We were together at Damlin. He finished. Yes, I didn't.
You went after the money.
I dropped out.
He become a capitalist.
So well done there, Leston. Sunda, how are you? Owen, and he's busy with a BA in psychology, politics, and international relations. That's interesting. So I think the first half of it, we're going to talk about branding, what he's doing now. Second half, we're going to talk about politics, why he got into that, and what does the future hold for him in that space. Good stuff. Okay, awesome. So Leston, welcome and thank you for joining us. I know you're busy. I see it's cold there in Edenvale, or where are you in Edenvale? Bedford side. It's cold this side as well.
It's what we call it's onweer here by us now. So yes, overcast for those who don't understand. No, it's overcast here by me, but the weather's looking good. It's not raining, so we are highly appreciative. So no, we're in a good space. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So Leston, I gave a short summary of what you did. I saw your bio. There's much more, but it's going to take me 20 minutes to go through the rest of that bio. Maybe if you can just tell us, what do you do? Summarize what you do right now and with branding before we get into the politics side of it.
No, perfect. Thank you, Leroy. So on my side, I've been in branding communications for the last, say, 16 years, 13 years actively in government. My career really started with brand specifically. I'm quite passionate about brand. I've always been a marketer at heart. I'm also a designer by heart as well. I started my industry in the design and media in the design and brand space. I've branded conferences. I've built billboards with my own physical hands. I've had some of my designs, my own personal and private designs on about more than 200 billboards. I've had radio campaigns, I've done TV adverts, I've done newspaper adverts, I've had stuff for PN magazines, international magazines, local magazines, anything to do with the media and branding space. I've been actively involved from a production level to a strategic level as well. But my first couple of years was all just about brand and production. I really enjoyed my industry, but then my industry started moving towards the government space. Initially, I didn't want to move into the government space because I really enjoyed brand and marketing from an advertising and an agency point of view. I also had my own business as well. In my early 20s, I did the Capone's Kalahari sign. I did a few signs in Boksburg and Regenpark. Regenpark was one of my first clients.
I remember you were working with Byron in them. Were you working with Byron in them?
Byron also had his own company, and then I had my own separate company as well.
Okay, I remember that. It was
Yeah, so we started there. So I would say we're quite technocrats when it comes to our industry. Anyway, so then obviously I evolved into brand. And for me, brand is really just about the emotive experience. It's an intangible asset that people get to live and experience on a daily basis. Let me first tell you what brand is not. Brand is not a logo. It's not the slogan. It is not the marketing collateral that you see. Those are just an extensions of those brands. Brand is the everyday lived experience that you get to experience as a customer when it comes to the service and the product offering of that company. I can use a very simple example.
Wait, repeat that again. You went to what is brand?
So brand is the personal lived experience that you receive. The personal lived experience. The personal lived and shared experience. Okay. That you get when you interact with a product or a service itself. We remember as consumers, we are emotive buyers. We are emotive influencers. Everything in the world is influenced by brand. Brand is the most powerful, the most powerful industry or sector, if not even influence, in the world itself. These days, you cannot have an executive committee meeting without having your communications brand person present at that meeting itself, because brand is everything. We've seen companies take 10 years to build a very credible brand, and all of a sudden, within a space of 5 minutes, even a space of 24 hours, that entire brand can be discredited. I mean, we recently saw it with, what's the gentleman's name? Katlego from Morning Life.
Yeah.
No, not Morning Life, Expresso. On I think it's on SBC 2.
Yeah, the same with Somizi. I think it was this week or last week.
Yeah, same with Somizi as well. It can take years to build a brand, but within a space of a day, I mean, you saw brands like Tresemme, you saw brands like H&R, not H&M. Basically, they came with the smartest or the cleverest monkey in the jungle, and they basically had that T-shirt on a young black child. So the reality is that those are brands that have now almost lost a bit of credibility within the industry because of one small move like that, mishap like that, has really almost kind of allowed them to kind of shoot themselves in the foot. So like I'm saying, brand is all about the experience. I always say in marketing, you don't sell product, you sell experience. BMW doesn't sell cars, they sell sheer driving pleasure. When you're sitting at home, you're like, I also want sheer driving pleasure, because that is the value proposition that they are putting forward. When it comes to Clover, Clover doesn't sell milk. Clover sells love. They sell family time in the morning. They sell grannies coming together after church to have tea together. They sell they sell kids playing together and having cereal. Clover's all about selling love. So it's all about the brand promise and the value proposition that you are exuding when it comes to how you sell your product and your service.
Awesome, man. That's nice. Well explained there, Leston. That's the best explanation I've ever heard about brand, because I was going to ask that. Now tell me, now with this new, let me try and say it nice. Your job must be a lot more difficult now, because people are a lot more sensitive now. People are sensitive to racial stuff. People are sensitive to gender. People are sensitive to women's rights, to all these different things, right? It seems like people have become so sensitive over the last few years that you need to probably be in tune with what's happening and careful with how you promote a brand or bring a brand across. How do you feel about this new, what do they call it? The woke culture over the last few years. How is that, and how do you navigate through that lately?
Well, the woke culture is really the next generation of leaders. The woke culture is really the millennials and the Generation Z and all the ones below that, because this is really the generation of information. These are the guys that now have access to everyday information, real-time information, where young people can almost kind of create their own opinion about what's happening in the world. I would say, pre the digital era, okay, the social medias and so forth, our information was quite restricted to what was basically fed through to us, either via media, TV and radio and newspapers, magazines. What we also can basically also kind of define as semi-propaganda, right?
Yes.
Now, propaganda and media influence, it's a huge tool in how societies function and how societies are constructed. Because the woke generation is the generation that can actually go and read 7 articles before they create an opinion. The woke generation is the generation that doesn't just vote because, no, my grandfather used to belong to this political party, or my grandmother or my father used to belong to this political party. They make more rational decisions now when they are voting. As an example, if you had to use voting as an example, instead of making an emotive decision as to why specifically I align myself or I associate myself to this brand. So the woke generation is really just the information generation. So it's very difficult to kind of spin doctor this generation and just saying, this is the narrative. This is the guidelines that you need to follow. They're going to come back and question it, because they're going to go draw about 10 different articles, get about 7 different opinions, watch TED Talks on YouTube, and then come back and really just elaborate further on. So basically they challenge the narrative, if I can put it that way. So brand for me is really just about people that know how to influence the narrative.
So basically, to nudge you in a certain direction.
To nudge in a certain direction. And I mean, I don't want to use
not manipulate, influence.
Yes. And you see when it comes to brand, there are positive and negative connotations, right? You can have a brand that basically represents everything good, right? And you can also have a brand that represents negative influence. A perfect example of a negative connotation would be, I don't want to use him as an example, but Hitler, right? Hitler had a communications and brand strategist called Joseph Goebbels. This was Hitler's propaganda machine, man. He was responsible for all Hitler's communications, his iconography, his brand, his symbol. Now, we obviously know what Hitler did. What the point I'm making, I'm speaking about the influence Hitler had in terms of unifying the German nation against all other nations around the world. He started introducing the Nazi symbol, which is unfortunately still quite a far-right a symbolic identity that far-right groups use, like, for example, your far-right groups in the US, Nazi groups, etc. He unified the German community just through symbolism itself, basically speaking from a page of one identity, speaking in one voice, speaking in one narrative. So symbolism is very important in terms of how we influence cultures. And people like Hitler, people like Donald Trump, they understand the influence that brand has. They understand the influence of symbolism when it comes to how you basically try to redirect or influence where the market is going to. Another example of the negative side of communications and brand is in South Africa. If I had to use, for example, say the xenophobic attacks, if we live in Africa, where did this hatred and animosity towards our other African brothers come from? Right? Where did we now learn to say that, no, we are better as Black South Africans in comparison to the rest of Africa? When they come here, we want to use terms like makwere kwere and these foreigners and whatever the case might be. Where did we learn that? That is from the media that was influenced during the 80s and the 90s. Whenever we switched on the TV, right? Whenever we read the newspaper, so whenever we opened up a magazine, and whenever they showed pictures of Africa, or when the news would show pictures of Africa, they would always show war-torn areas, flies coming out of children's mouths. I don't know what you call that disease, kwashiorkor, with the big stomach and the skinny body. So whenever we saw pictures of Africa, as South Africans, our fathers and our forefathers would always think, oh no, we are better because we don't live. Remember the power of Stratcom?
We're not going up there. We don't go up there on holiday.
And that's how the apartheid government used to basically control the black majority of this country, is to say, see what happens in other countries if we don't control you here. Because imagery and that type of content was used to influence what we call propaganda.
Now, let me ask you a question. Thanks.
Government can become very, very scary if it's used in a negative light.
Now, you're talking about how the media affected. Do you still believe in the media? Do you still believe the media plays a... Do you still believe the media is honest? Because personally, I don't. I feel that everything the media pushes has an agenda.
Yes.
And if you look at the media, how it comes out, it's not about what they say. You have to look at who owns that certain media house.
Because they're shareholders.
Does the owner, does the DA own it? Is it who? Do you understand? And obviously they're pushing there. So how do you get the brand out now? How do you firstly, do you trust the media? Let's say that. Is the media still relevant?
The media is relevant.
Now that we have social media.
Yes. You see, the media is relevant. I think previously we could have said that we don't trust the media because we didn't have enough platforms of engagement where we can almost test the credibility of the media space itself. However, now because of social media, and now because we've got people that run blogs, civil society organizations that have also basically taken on this media role and have also started putting articles and information out there to question certain articles that is being put out into the media. So me on my side, I trust the media, but I trust credible sources. So you need to be able to know exactly who are the credible sources that you want to rely on when it comes to your morning information or your morning news. So we've got so many options out there at the moment. So it's really just about sourcing or basically kind of creating your panel, if I can call them that, panel of media outlets that you subscribe to, which you find to be credible and that you find to be not contradictory to what's happening out there. I mean, if you see there are riots and looting happening in the media, and then another channel is saying, no, it's not as bad as what we think it is, then I'm going to sit back and say, no, what are you talking about? I can see this with my own physical eyes as to what's happening out there. So I do trust the media, but it's about just getting credible resources at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, the media is also there to make money also. You know, these guys are owned by big media platforms that is owned by shareholders. And at the end of the day, it's all about sales. These people are running a business. It's about sales.
Advertising gets to sway them a little bit.
And advertising is expensive. I mean, I think it's about, how much is it now? About 18... I think it was 16 or 18 or 20,000 rand to advertise a 30-second spot on 94.7. So for one advert that you hear in the morning for 30 seconds on 94.7 costs between 16 and 20,000 rand just for one. So advertising is quite expensive. So at the end of the day, these guys are pushing sales, but it's important to have a good, credible editor running the editorial section of any media company.
Awesome stuff, man. Thanks for that, Leston. Now, Leston, most of the people listening here are not corporations. They're either small business owners or they're starting a business or they're thinking about it. Now, for someone, and it's not easy, right? I've rebuilding still a company and trying to get it out there. It's not easy. It takes work, and when you start it, you think you're going to start it and it's going to jump out there and you're going to have 1 million followers, subscribers, or whatever it is, and then it does not happen that way.
People can't wait to see you.
People, you think I love this handsome face, and
people can't wait to see this face.
And they're just gonna buy, and it doesn't happen, and it takes time, and obviously you're learning. Everyone it's a trial and everything as well, right? We're all learning. Yes, how would you say for a person starting let's say building a brand, they're starting a small business or they're building a brand? You hear all celebrities and people talking about on these shows, I'm building a brand, I need to look after my brand, we need to see how the brand is viewed, and they talk all these things, and it's individuals saying it, right? Not companies. What would be the best way for someone like me or someone like these listeners coming out saying, listen, how do I want to build a brand. I want to build a brand. I'm starting a small business. What will be the best way to start? I don't know if that's
Two things for me is know your product. Know your product really well. Understand your business, right? If you can understand your product, if you can understand your business, if you can understand your service offering, it then basically means you are then able to articulate yourself extremely well when it comes to now communicating that product or that service to the market, which is what we call marketing. Most brands out there, most companies out there don't know how to articulate themselves when it comes to their product and their service offering. So number one rule is that know your product and know your service extremely well. Become a technocrat of your industry.
What is a technocrat? You're using big words here. What's a technocrat?
No, it's just just a technical expert in your field of industry, if I had to simplify it. So just you become a technical expert in your industry, you know what I mean? Like you're a technocrat in property.
All of you guys learned a new word because of me. Technocrat.
I hate that. So understand and know your product first. The next thing you want to do is what we learn in one-on-one marketing is market research and feasibility studies. Know exactly who your product will be best suited for. Yes, I know we want to go out there and just sell to everybody, and everybody must buy our product because everybody wants to buy our creams, our sanitizers, our new tools, industrial tools that we've developed, whatever the case might be. But understand your audience. You see, the world has become so competitive and the market has become so contentious that unfortunately you're not the only person selling what you're selling out there. So in order for you to sell ice to an Eskimo, as the old saying goes, you need to understand what are the daily requirement needs of the individual itself. What are the what type of values does your target audience represent? What are the principles that they live by? We can look into things like demographics, we can look into things like the age, etc., etc. But it's important that you understand the target audience that you are speaking to. If you cannot communicate, if there's no common ground of communication, unfortunately, you will always speak past each other. You think it's like being in a relationship. You think you are saying one thing and you think what you're saying is right, but the people on the opposite side cannot understand what you're saying because there's no common ground of communication. So understand it when you're articulating your product or your service, you need to know how to speak to your audience and you need to know how to sell to your market. Now, after you've done all of that, the basic things.
Wait, you're going fast here. So firstly, understand your product, understand your service very well. Do your market research, see who your target market is, right? Learn how to communicate to that target market and find out where they are, right? Let's say some people will be on TikTok, some on Facebook, some on Twitter, some are in your tradition. Older people are maybe in the Sunday Times or on your traditional media platforms. So do your research. Did I cover all of that? Market research, communicate. But I think firstly was understand your product very well, your business and your service. That's the most important.
Because when you have an opportunity one day to present your product, you must be able to know exactly what you're speaking about. The moment people see there are inconsistencies or some contradictions in what you are saying, you immediately start losing credibility. Credibility is everything in this industry. If you don't, people buy emotively. And if people see that you are a credible brand or that you are a credible individual or that you are a credible corporation or organization, immediately people are drawn to you. Because remember, brand is all about trust. People buying your services or using your services is because they trust in the brand promise that you're offering. And what I always say is that your brand promise must be able to live up to your product or service offering, or your product and service offering must be able to live up to the brand promise.
Say that again.
Your product offering or your service offering must be able to live up to your brand promise, and your brand promise must be able to live up to your product offering. So, for example, if BMW says BMW, sheer driving pleasure, you're going to sit and you're like, wow, I want to go and experience the sheer driving pleasure that BMW promotes. But the moment you get into that car, but you're like, there's no sheer driving pleasure here. I can't feel that sheerness that they're referring to. Immediately you start losing credibility because now your product couldn't live up to the brand promise, and the brand promise is now not living up to the product offering. Standard Bank did this. Standard Bank came out with a payoff line a couple of years back that said simpler, better, faster. However, the customer experience was different because the moment the customers started going into the Standard Bank branches, the service was not faster, it was not simpler, and it was not better. So there was a contradiction in what they were promising people versus the service offering that they were giving to their customers as well, right? So know your audiences extremely, extremely well. I want to make another example of knowing your audiences really, really well. Nedbank, I was at a discussion about say 3 years ago. And it was around Nedbank and the new brand launch and brand positioning, and they went out with all the creative and they did advertising around it, whatever. Nedbank's payoff line was Nedbank Wealth Masters. The problem with, Mr. Slava, we've got an hour, am I correct?
Yeah, we've got, what are we on now? Yeah, we've got about an hour plus minus. Are you fine with that?
No, I'm perfect. I'm perfect with that. I'm perfect.
All right, good stuff.
So what, and this relates back to how do you build a brand? Okay, and how do you and the importance of knowing your product and knowing your market. Nedbank then came out with a campaign and it said Nedbank Wealth Masters. So I raised a question to the head of marketing for Nedbank and I said to them, wow, who's your target audience here? Are you guys specifically targeting your upper income bracket communities, your middle to upper income bracket communities, or you guys targeting the everyday majority population who live below the poverty line, who earn the minimum wage, who earn less than 5,000 Rand a month? They said, no, those are audiences as well. That's our target groups, etc. I said, but then there's a contradiction in your statement. Because if I'm a domestic worker and I earn 4,000 Rand a month, there's absolutely no ways I'm going to go to a bank called Wealth Masters. It sounds like you need to have a black card to even take out an account to this bank. So immediately, you guys don't appeal to me. So therefore, I'll move on to the next bank. The next bank would be FNB. Because FNB wasn't pompous and came out and said, yeah, we are Wealth Masters. All they asked very simply is, how can we help you? They made it about the individual. Okay. So when you are doing your market research and you want to understand your target audience, make sure that there is a common ground of communication where you understand each other. And that's how you really start to build the brand. That's really stage one of trying to build the brand itself. Afterwards, you then start going out with marketing, advertising, making sure that word of mouth gets out, making sure you give a suitable service to your audiences as well, because word of mouth is a real thing, you know? So
you could spend money on advertising and marketing, and you could miss the target market and waste time and waste a lot of finances and resources because you're not targeting the right people and you're spending the money and you got all these, but you're not hitting your target market.
Yes, you're not speaking to the hearts of the people. And always when I say, when it comes to brand building, people always want to speak about, yeah, we must go out there, market, advertise. Build your constituency first. Build your local market first. First become, if you want to become, I don't know, a singer, okay? First become popular in your hometown.
Yeah,
if you want to become a businessman, do karaoke, you know what I mean? If you want to become a businessman, rather become a businessman where your clients are your immediate network and groups of people. Start building your credibility first there, because those same people will start putting your name out there. You don't have to spend on advertising and marketing. Word of mouth is a very powerful tool. Then afterwards, we can start going out and you start using platforms like social media and everything else as well. Yeah. And I'm really speaking about small business development rather than focusing on corporates right now. Then start using free platforms like your social media. Get the word of mouth out there. Start building a brand. Start putting your logo out there. Start showing also that you have an understanding of the industry. Start doing live conversations on Facebook and start speaking about your product as well. It's about getting your name out there and getting your product out there. If you believe in your product and your service, you just have to convince other people to believe in your product and your service as well.
Amazing advice. Guys, I hope you got some. I hope you're making notes. Hey, Neil, Roberta, they focus on your beachhead market. Kim McKay says such great insight, useful information. Roberta says wise words. Leslie Ann says the painful incubation phase. Dominic is laughing at us. Great show. Now she's saying so helpful after that. So guys, this is powerful, right? This is powerful insight. I hope you guys are making notes. Leston, I think we've hit half of it. I think we need to jump over, man, to the this branding is. Dude, I've got so much notes here, and I can see why I've struggled to build a brand to where I want to get it. But I think we need to jump to the politics, guys. We need to jump to Leston has become a politician. He was He was doing branding and marketing and media. And then out of the blue, he woke up one day and he said, listen, let me become a politician. And he went and he's studying a BA in psychology, politics, and internal relationship. So Leston, marketing, branding, over to politics. What made you do that jump?
Sure. I think for me, when I started moving into the government space, obviously now my professional career started being more aligned to government and politics. And like I said, I've been in this space for the last 13 years. So as a brand expert, so now I'm a professional brand and communication strategist within government specifically. So this can be extended into, for example, running government campaigns. So, for example, if I had to run a campaign for the Department of Economic Development, my job would then be basically to create investment marketing opportunities for and basically position the city or the country as a destination for investment. If I was working for the Department of Tourism, my job would then be position the South African landscape and the South African landscape and all its service and tourism offerings to the rest of the world. And this is to attract customers into the region. If I was working for the Department of Environmental Affairs, my job will then specifically be around climate change and organizing conferences and getting the communication out there and doing media alerts and media reports, etc., etc. So now myself, I've worked in all those departments: economic development, environmental, Department of Tourism, city planning, etc., etc., etc. So that has really given me a broader scope as to what exactly is happening when it comes to the government landscape of this country. So anyway, the point I'm making is that, so now I started evolving into understanding why brand is important for government, why brand is important for our communities and our citizens, and why communications play such a pivotal role in how we structure what we refer to as a participatory government. Now, communications is very, very close to my heart when it comes to this new democracy of our country. And I always say that democracy was never won so that our communities can be selfishly empowered. But there is a new responsibility on the next generation of leaders. There's a new responsibility on the next generation of leaders to basically take up that baton and take up that ownership and realize that they have to complete that journey. Because the only thing that we won in 1994 was a democracy, which gave us access to rights and access to opportunities, as what is enshrined in the Constitution in Chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights, right? Freedom of expression, freedom of religion, etc., etc. But you see where the problem comes in, Leroy, is that democracy in what we refer to as a meritocracy country, where especially in this capitalist system of a democracy, capitalism and democracy can never separate one without the other, okay?
Whoa. See, there you're going again. First, explain democracy, and the other word was what?
So I was saying, so South Africa, we've got, so democracy and capitalism, you can never separate one from the other.
Yes.
They are very much aligned, right? Yep. But in a capitalist society, we have what is called a meritocracy system, where basically your achievement is based on the merit of your achievement, okay? Mm-hmm. So we're saying that if you work hard enough, you can become anything you want in this country, okay? But where the contradiction comes in a little bit, especially for a new democracy like ourselves, I mean, we were the last country in Africa, one of the last to achieve a democracy. Everybody had achieved their independence in the 60s. South Africa was really the last guys to jump on the bandwagon because of things like apartheid, etc., etc. But where the problem comes in is that 1994, we got rights to go to universities. Mm-hmm. Great, we celebrate that. Yeah. But in order for you to go to university, you need to have money. Mm-hmm. So now what that means is that we are disempowering our communities even further, because what is now happening is that we don't have enough financial and economic resources to enable our communities to have access to all these new opportunities as well. So it's really important for us as the new generation of leaders, especially the young leaders in this country, and this is who my call is really out for, to really almost take on that ownership. We can't have leaders that are north of 60 governing our communities and not have representation of the youth population or young people in government and in parliament itself. So for me, communications is really important because it creates a platform where we can have this thing of a participatory government, where we can have community engagement, where we start building the relationship between government and its communities, where it's not an us and them thing, where
But
policies...
How do we do that?
So
if we can see Parliament is 60 plus, old people are falling asleep in Parliament. They probably don't know how TikTok works. They don't know how a lot of these things work, and they keep moving them from
portfolio
to portfolio, and it's the same people who have failed in different departments coming to another department. So how do we do that? How do we bring that across?
Well, we first, I want to encourage communities to almost take on this role of active citizenship, right? Where you don't put the responsibility in the hands of government only, right? There's a lot of organizations, especially civil society organizations, like the Amabungane from a media point of view. I can even include AfriForum in there because they came out and defended what's name Gabrielle against Grace Mugabe. So they come out to defend the citizens. Yes, we're not all in agreement with all their policies, but civil society organizations is absolutely important. There's another one, Outer Organization Against Tax Abuse. They've brought many cases before the Constitutional Court to basically fight for the right of its citizens. So what I'm really encouraging is that citizens need to become more active participants in how this country is run. Our vote cannot be our only form of expression, which happens every 5 years. We need to become active on the ground and keep our leaders accountable through active communications platforms such as social medias, Izimbizos, community engagement programs, rallying of communities as well, getting young people involved in programs that help develop and help further upskill our communities as well. So for me, really, it's about not putting that responsibility in the hands of government, even though they have been appointed and they've been elected to basically take charge of that responsibility. But it's really about just owning that identity and owning that responsibility and say, what am I doing to further advance my community, further advance my country, and further advance my citizens? Because remember, how politics work around the world is that we elect people as a society. We come together. It started in Greek first, in Greece with Aristotle and all of them. But we come together as a society, and we then decide to say we want to appoint leaders to represent us, right? To represent us at a governmental level or a corporate governance level. The problem is that we have forgotten that we actually form part of that. We've been almost kind of ideological. I think we conform to this ideology that when after government has been elected, we don't really have a say. We don't have a voice. Communications plays an active role in that because our job is to give our communities a voice. And
we're pushing the responsibility, our lives, our communities, our country, pushing it on someone else, and we're stepping back.
We're stepping back.
Active
citizenship is absolutely important.
That's a good one there, guys. Write that one down. Active citizenship. That's good. And I was having this conversation with someone, or actually thinking, because people were saying, listen, the ANC this, the DA this, the whatever, the world this, world, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? I was thinking about this. I was thinking, what am I doing? What can I do to bring about a small change where I am? And I think that's where you're talking about, to see what you can do where you are with what you have.
100%. And that's what you really want to do. You want to bring about, when people think about change, they think of change at a mass scale. It's about, and what we say is that charity does begin at home. It's really about creating change within your own community and building on that change itself. I want to use a political example here quickly. The PA, right, the Patriotic Alliance, Gayton McKenzie's party, was not a new party, but they've become more active. I think from a brand point of view, started seeing them a lot more in the media, especially after winning wards in Eldorado Park and Rivoli, etc., etc. The PA has started with Eldorado Park, and they were able to win those votes in Eldorado Park itself, right? We do know that the local government elections is coming up. It has been now obviously postponed. We're just waiting for the constitutional matter to be finalized, because we think it's going to be it's going to be happening in Feb of next year.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Correct, yes. But the matter is before the Constitutional Court, etc., etc. But what I'm saying is that a party like the Patriotic Alliance have really positioned themselves well within the colored community. And this is not really a race thing or a cultural thing, whatever the case might be. When people look at a political party, when you choose a religious view, when you choose a church, when you choose a community, when you choose where to stay, you're choosing a place that is relatable to you, a place that you identify with.
Yeah.
Now, what the Patriotic Alliance has done is they've gone out into those communities and they've represented them to say, I come from your lived experience, I come from your identity, I come from your cultural understanding of who you are within the context of South Africa. We have a relatable experience as well. Now we can speak about, I know there's a lot of, there were in the past a lot of negative connotations around Gayton McKenzie and them and what they were involved in, etc. And that's public knowledge. I'm not splitting opinions here. That's really public knowledge. But I like what the PA is doing in terms of influencing and the active role and the active citizenship within those communities. And I've always said that El Dorado Park is really a pilot project for the PA. If the PA is able to do great work in El Dorado Park and all the wars that they've won in that specific area, up until next year's elections, they can start influencing the colored vote, because colored people, unfortunately, do feel like the marginalized community within the context of South Africa. And we're speaking from a governance point of view.
Yes. Not white enough, not black enough.
100%. So we're not speaking about identity and so forth, but we're really speaking about opportunities that have been created for those communities as well. Yeah. Gayton McKenzie is standing up and calling to that, in answering that call. So if they can do amazing work in El Dorado Park and Reveille, because they become quite active in those communities, they can start influencing other colored communities as well as other communities within the demographics of Gauteng. And if they can start winning seats and they start doing great work within those communities itself and just focus on the active citizenship, focus on delivering services, focus on rebuilding and upskilling those communities, they will start having influence beyond the borders of Gauteng. They will influence communities like Heidedal, PE, Durban. But the biggest vote will then be Cape Town. And if the PA can become an opposition party in the Western Cape, because the colored vote in the Western Cape is big. It is massively huge. So what I'm saying is that here's an organization like the Patriotic Alliance building their brand from scratch, right? They are involving the community. It has now become a community brand rather than the individual brand itself. Yes, I don't agree with Gayton McKenzie when it comes to his views on illegal immigrants and illegal foreign nationals in this country. But I mean, it's a healthy debate, democracy is also a healthy debate and so forth. And we can discuss it even further. That's the only part where I don't agree. But everything else they're doing around how they're evolving their party and positioning themselves in terms of their brand value proposition, they're doing an excellent job. And you'll see that brand of the PA even growing more over the years to come.
And I think talking about that, I think that's good because I think the ANC and the DA need a strong opposition coming up to oppose them and to challenge them a bit. Now, Leston, going back, I think going with the PA, that came back to your how to build a brand, where you understand your product, you understand your service, you understand your target market, and I think that's what they did well.
Correct, 100%.
I think that's what they did.
If you want to be connected to the cause, you have to be connected to the crisis. And that's the one thing Gayton and him do. They don't just go out there and they speak to say, yeah, we are here fighting for the cause, we are with you. They are connected to the crises happening on the ground itself. So like I'm saying, if you want to move into a space of politics, if you want to be connected to the cause, you have to be connected to the crisis. And that's what they really do well from a value proposition point of view.
Sure. Good stuff, Leston. Guys, I think we need to get Leston on here more often. We actually spoke about starting a show, guys. Tell us what you think. We spoke about starting a show where we discuss these issues and we get experts on, especially politics and poverty and socialism and capitalism and get people on these shows weekly or monthly to debate these issues and share some solutions, right? And not just complain, come with come with solutions on. So we're still chatting about it. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Should we do that monthly, weekly, where Leston comes on and maybe someone else, and we just discuss what's happening in the country, what's happening in the world, what the challenges are, and what we believe are some of the solutions. And we might differ on some of that things. We all believe different things, right? So
I think a podcast would be great, and we can extend that to some really nice experts and professionals within the industry. And we can even have, when COVID does then start almost like subsiding a little bit, we can even do an in-studio type of session.
Yes.
What I mean, a round-table discussion.
That's what we're going to go to. But I think maybe we'll have a chat. People are saying, yes, definitely, I'll watch. So we're getting good feedback there. Now, Leston, everyone here is saying, Leston for president. What's next? What's next for Leston on the branding side? Are you going to move fully into politics? Are you going to join a political party and become a mayor, go for parliament? What? Now, that sounds like a difficult job. Honestly, it sounds like a rubbish job, but someone has to do it.
Yeah, no.
What is the future hold for Leston?
Well, I'm passionate about my communities, and I'm passionate about my citizens. Especially, I'm quite passionate about people coming from disadvantaged social and economic backgrounds as well. And again, I want to say that the role of myself in this space is to really kind of take that baton and basically run with it. You know what I mean? Because we are the ones we've been looking for, and we are the ones we've been waiting for as well. So I cannot wait for Brau and Braun on my left and right hand side to bring about the change that I want to see. So where my career will take me to, I love communications in government, or government communications and brand management. I love stakeholder relations. I love international relations, which is one of the majors I'm doing. But I think and I don't want to go too far off from my professional career because that's where my passion lies. But if I had to evolve into the political space, I would definitely then start becoming more of an active member of a political party. Even maybe I'll start my own political party. I don't know, but it's quite expensive. I think it's like 400,000 rand to start your own political party these days.
Just to register or what?
Yeah, and that's not even the marketing side. It, as you've seen with election campaigns, people spend.
What would you call your party? What would your party's name be?
I haven't thought of the party's name, but it has to be, it has to be a name that speaks to the community. It has to be an F&B, how can we help you, and not a Netbank Wealth Masters type of party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there has to be a party that connects with the community on the ground. And if I'm going to basically promote this narrative of a participatory government, I have to then make sure that my party is inclusive of the views of our members. And again, I'll see where my career takes me, but I'm not too far off in terms of being an active member within politics. I definitely think it is around the corner. And then, I'll take it from there. But communications, that's really what I enjoy. That's really my specialty, because I believe that communications is the most powerful and most influential tool in the world in terms of where society is evolving to.
Yeah, and you'll do well, man. You're passionate. You know what you're talking about. You've got the gift to communicate on all platforms. Man, I think you'll do well. Whether you start your own or whether you join one. Leslie Ann and Dominic says we'll crowdfund. Yeah, man. It's not a lot of money, man. 400,000. We can do that now, guys. If you wanna donate to Leston's political party, which will be called something,
to be announced.
How much you gonna give?
To be announced. We do crowdfunding, yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, conversations on entrepreneurs that inspire and experts to admire. So you can see we've got an entrepreneur, we've got an expert here, guys, and we have this time has gone here. It goes quickly. It flew. So Leston, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming. You gave us good nuggets, man. I'm gonna have to listen to this tonight, make notes, and see if I can apply some of this. And guys, this is not just to entertain, right? Make notes. Listen to it again. It'll be on YouTube. You can listen to it again on Facebook. This is good information that Leston shared with us today to take your brand further, your business. You shared some powerful insights here. So thank you, Leston. Any last words? Last words of encouragement, advice?
From my side, I want to encourage the young people to become more actively involved in politics, to really basically take up those positions of power. We really need more ethical leaders in this country. There's a phenomenal program that is out at the moment called the Apolitical Academy. And this is basically about transforming the next generation of transformational and ethical leaders in this country. Because one thing we are short of.
Apolitical Academy.
Apolitical Academy.
Anyone join?
It's a non-partisan organization with impartial views on politics. So even if you're EFF, if you're ANC, if you're DA, if you're PA, you can basically join this movement. It's about bringing young minds together and then basically almost kind of engaging on the political context of this, or the political landscape of this country. So I encourage young people to please look out for fellowship programs like the above, get actively involved in politics. And even if you, yeah.
Where do we get that information? I like to join it. I'll join it. How would I join the Apolitical Academy?
Check out, it's apolitical. So apolitical is one word.
Yeah.
Academy.
Yes.
I think it's .org. Or just type in Apolitical Academy South Africa, then it should take you guys to the website and so forth.
Do me a favor, type it in the, or you WhatsApp it to me and I'll pop it in the comment section.
No, that's perfect for me. That works for me. Yeah, so like I'm saying, I just want to encourage young people to become more active citizens in how this country is run. Don't take a back seat. Don't rely on other people to bring about the change that you want to see in our communities as well. And really just start basically challenging the status quo, start challenging the narrative. Don't be conformed to what you've been taught, what you deem to be a social construct of life is how politics and governments are supposed to be run. There's many examples of how governments are run all around the world. Don't only subscribe to the South African way of how governments should be run and how governments must be run. Get information, educate yourself, make yourself very knowledgeable as well, so that you can become an active member in this country and become an engaging participant in where this country is going.
Awesome stuff, guys. Leston, thank you so much. Be an active citizen. Learn, look at other governments, educate yourself, push back if you're not happy with something. We've got the platforms. You can do a video now and 500,000 people can see it, eh?
Yeah, start your own political parties. Last point. There was there's electoral reform happening. There's electoral reform happening, and it was already passed at the Constitutional Court last year, where basically you have independent parties can now basically also stand for political representation or for governance. So you don't have to basically go via a political party anymore. You can almost stand as an individual, almost like the same hybrid system that the US has got as well. So there's many ways. Democracy is changing in the country. The laws are changing in this country. So yeah, man, really just become active. If you want to run, please run. If you want to start your own political party, please do so. If you want to start a civil society organization, please do so, but become an active member in the society.
Awesome stuff. Thank you. And guys, we're chatting about it. We might come soon with a show where we talk about these issues.
100%.
We come with solutions. We're discussing it. We'll let you know as soon as we make a decision on it.
Yes.
God bless, guys. Thank you for joining. Share, like, subscribe. And tune in every Wednesday, 10 a.m. As I said, me and Leston are in discussions about another show. We'll come back to you as soon as we made a decision on that. And Leston, all the best with whatever you do. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. You gave us good insights, and hope to get you back soon again.
100%. Thanks a lot, brother. I really appreciate it. Good to see you again. And it says at the bottom, Leroy Slava, a property investor. I'm hoping that you can invest in my political party in the years to come. So anyway, yes, that's all I wanted to say.
I hope you can invest in my deals as well. Invest in my
Your deals are awesome. We'll do a nice trade exchange.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All the best. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Slava. Keep well. Bye-bye.